Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. So I said previously that I want to do a few more kind of upcycling DIY bits on this channel. So that is what I'm going to be taking you guys through today. I am currently helping my sister decorate a few rooms in her house. I am vlogging it all, so watch this space. But first item that I wanted to actually upcycle are these bedside tables. So these are the current bedside tables from my sister's bedroom. So they are quite water damaged. These were bought from Oak Furniture Land, so supposedly they are solid wood. However, there is really bad water damage to the top of them, one of them in particular where it's all bubbled up. So the original plan was to actually just sand these back, put on some new hardware, jobs are good in. However, when I started this, we kind of had to pivot plan because the top was just wrecked. I didn't realise that the top was actually a wood laminate, which we were both really surprised about. So we have pivoted, we have replanned. These are going to be going in the guest bedroom, so I'm going to give them a little makeover to fit that space. So currently they are just this kind of solid oak wood with this kind of really dark brass handles, which are kind of dating it a little bit, and they're not really going to fit the style of the room. So the room that it's going to is the guest bedroom. There's already a bit more of a kind of ornate piece of furniture in there, which is going to be staying. So I want to make sure that these are going to be more in keeping with what is already going to be in the room. So I'm going to be taking you guys through the whole process, what I'm going to be doing to revamp these bedside cabinets, and hopefully if any of you guys are in a similar situation, this will just show how much you can change the style of a piece of furniture and not have to buy a completely new piece of furniture. You can make something work for your room. So let's dive into the video. So first thing I started off doing was just sanding the top of the bedside tables where all the water damage was. I actually forgot to put the dust collector on the sander, so that's why it's all shooting out the back there. So once I sanded it down, it was so much smoother, but it did reveal a lot of kind of chipboard, so I knew that I would have to be patching this up to make it a little bit smoother. The second bedside table wasn't too bad. It was just a case of kind of smoothing out a little bit. My main focus was getting the really bad one nice and smooth before I could fill anything. So I had some of this left over. It's just the dial brown wood filler. So I just got a spatula and started layering this on. My tip for this is actually put more on than you need, overfill, because you'll see later on that when I went to go sand it down again, I had to do another layer of filler. So I think it's always best to put a little bit too much on and have to sand it down rather than having to do the same job twice. Once all of that filler was dry, I went in with a sander again and gave it a good sand to make it as smooth as possible. And after that, I wiped off all of the dust, grime, dirt from both the bedside tables. I actually just used some sugar soap for this. I know there's stronger things that you can use, but I found this worked really well. And once I'd done that, I took all of the hardware off of the drawers. It's not quite the right kind of style for this room. Once it was all off, I actually put it in like a little plastic bag and zipped it shut, because although they're not right for this project, doesn't mean they won't be right for another one. I may be able to upcycle these in the future, so I wanted to make sure they were nice and safe. So first step in transforming these is undercoat. I went with the Leyland wood and metal white undercoat. I'm actually putting it in a tray which has a biodegradable plastic bag around it, because this stuff is like glue. It is so difficult to clean. So I gave both the bedside tables paint with the undercoat. Annoyingly, I would normally use a foam roller for this, but I didn't have any, so I'm just using a normal one. But the finish is nowhere near as good as what you would get with a foam roller. So lesson learned from next time, I will make sure I do it with the foam roller head. I'm not priming the inside of this because obviously you're never going to see that, so I'm not painting any of the inside of this. Again, I literally just did the drawer fronts rather than the inside of the drawers. These are solid wood drawers apart from the top bit, so I think it's nice to be able to pull the drawers open and see that kind of warm wood colour on the inside. So once everything was painted with one coat of primer, I left it outside for a couple of hours, and once it was touch dry I brought it inside, and I ended up just leaving it overnight to dry properly. Some primers say that you can just leave them a few hours. Mine specified at least 16 hours, so I decided to go with what it said on the tin. So the next morning I cracked on with getting these all painted. This is where I realised that the top of that really bad cabinet was still really, really bad. So I did one coat of paint, and then once that had dried I went back in with some filler. I used whitewood filler this time. And this time I actually did a little bit too much, so that when it was dry I sanded it back. It's a lot better than it was before. It's still not perfect, and I don't think it will ever be perfect, but it's nowhere near as noticeable as it was originally. So I sanded that back with the dust collector on this time. Nice one, Louise. So the paint that I actually used on these was a Valspar custom colour mix. I actually found it in the clearance section, but it's this really nice kind of off-white, slightly stone colour. I thought the quality of the paint was really, really good. I put it on with a foam roller, and the foam roller was definitely better than a normal fluffy one. One tip, if you are doing more than one coat, maybe across a day or two, is to, for your paintbrushes and rollers, wrap them in a little plastic bag like this and put them in the fridge. It works so well, they don't dry out, and you can just use them later on in the day or the next day. So all in all, I did 3 coats on all of these, which is more than I thought I would have to do, to be honest, considering I did the primer as well. The third coat was more of just a touch-up kind of coat and more going over bits that I kind of missed a little bit, but it definitely did need the 3 of them. I also left them for about 2 hours between coats. It was really nice and warm and sunny out, so they dried pretty quickly. Once they were fully dry, I went to put all of the drawers in and attach my new hardware. So the hardware I went for this is a bit different. It's definitely more of a kind of vintage style, because the other bits in the room that this is going to be in are more of that kind of style. So they were really, really easy. I actually just got these on Amazon, but they do have more of a kind of eclectic vintage vibe. I feel they just changed these bedside tables up massively. So overall, I am so happy with how they turned out. I know that the changes that I made were super simple, but like I said earlier, I feel like you don't have to make major changes to a furniture to completely change the whole style of it. So the cream, obviously we were able to hide that kind of manky wood on top. It's not perfect, but it's a lot better. They are a lot more usable. I don't think you'll notice them once they're all styled up, any of the kind of wood damage. So that was the main thing that I obviously wanted to address. Style-wise, they're going to fit in so much better. That hardware from Amazon actually looks really, really high-end, and I believe it was only about £8 for the hardware. The paint I bought was £5 because it was in clearance. I already had the primer, so overall it was a super cheap project. I managed to do it for about £13, I think. There are a couple of things that I would do differently. So I have been upcycling furniture for a while, but I feel like I'm still kind of learning a lot when it comes to paint finishes and things like that. Previously, one paint that I do absolutely love is actually, I believe it's the B&Q 𝘰𝘮𝘮𝘦 range. They have a paint and primer in one. I know a lot of people say that you need to use a wood primer, but I haven't previously and I've never had an issue. I just always buy a paint and primer in one, and I think that's worked for me so much better because actually I really didn't like the primer that I used. The finish of it wasn't very good, so I probably would just stick with a paint and primer moving forward. I know Valspar do one, 𝘰𝘮𝘮𝘦 do one, there's loads of brands that do one, Rust-Oleum as well. Second thing is application process. Do not use a fluffy roller like I did when I did my undercoat, because yeah, the finish is not great. I'd say definitely if you're going to use a foamer, use a foam roller or a high quality brush. But I think next time I really want to try using my spray gun, because I think that I'll get a much cleaner finish on that. So those were the only things that I was really sort of, yeah, think that I would do a little bit differently next time. But overall, it was a really easy project. It really didn't take me that long to do at all. The only thing that took a bit of time was just filling in the kind of damage on the top. But I hope this has given you guys a little bit of inspiration as to what you could do to your furniture if you're thinking about switching up a room. I hope you guys have enjoyed this video. If you have, please don't forget to give it a thumbs up because it really supports my channel. And if you haven't already subscribed, don't forget to hit the subscribe button and ring the bell so you never miss an upcoming video. And until next time, I will see you guys later.